Hi, and welcome back to another episode of Mathemagics. We've got a pretty easy problem today, but it might be one of those that is a little harder to figure out. Well, let's take a look. So, very short. In triangle ABC, A and B are complementary. Okay, where cosine of A is 0.5. Neat. What is the measure in degrees of B? Okay, so there's a couple different approaches that you can take to this. The one that I think is probably the easiest would just be doing inverse trigonometry. And it sounds complicated, but the other one involves like knowing rules of triangles and all that. Screw it. We only need one thing for this. And so let's do the easy one. Inverse trig. You can literally plug and play in a calculator, right? So when you have the cosine of A, and that equals 0.5, what you're saying is the ratio between the adjacent side and the hypotenuse is 0.5. Okay? Neat. So the inverse cosine of 0.5 will get you the angle, and you can have a calculator for that. And I pretend I have a calculator here, because I don't. Well, this is a graphic calculator, and it will actually have the same things. So this is the TI 84 Silver Edition calculator. It's the Plus. It's not the limited edition like I had when I was a youngs. This is my wife's calculator. And so you have, and I'll zoom it in, you have sine, cosine, tangent, all right? And then the second option, the options above, are the inverse. So you would literally go second cosine 0.5, and this thing hasn't had battery in it in a hot minute. Yeah, the batteries are very dead. And then that'll literally just give you the answer. It'll give you 60 degrees. All right? And so we know A is 60 degrees, but we're looking for B. Well, if they're complementary, then, they add up to 90, right? So we're going to do some hard one. We're going to take 90, we're going to subtract 60, and we end up with our answer, 30 degrees. So, that was pretty easy. Now, the other thing you can do in this situation, so cosine of A is 0.5. Now, we haven't been told specifically that this is a right triangle. So, I said ratio of hypotenuse over adjacent, or adjacent over hypotenuse. See, if you would have watched yesterday's video, you'd be like, you guy, do it right. So, you don't exactly know that this is the case. But you can pretty much, for any triangle, this actually works out. Something you could do is, instead of doing the cosine of A, since it's complementary, you can just do the sine of B equals 0.5. Because if you have the hypotenuse is the same, if it's a right triangle at least, and I don't know that this is a right triangle, but I'm going to assume it is. Actually, I know it is, because one is 60 degrees, it's a 30, 60, 90 right triangle. So it has to be perfect. So the cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse, and sine is opposite over hypotenuse. I didn't plan this, so I don't have a diagram, but just let's pretend I do. And the opposite of one angle is the adjacent to the other. So it stands to reason that it would be the same ratio, the same number for the different ratio. So the cosine of one angle is equal to the sine of the other angle in a right triangle. So there you go. Really easy stuff. Well, not super easy, but, we get there. But that's all there is to it, just 30 degrees. Notice, again, it doesn't mention rounding. at all. So it's wanting an exact number, and 9 times out of 10, when it's doing, especially with degrees, especially when you have cosines, other trig ratios, stuff like that, you're going to be wanting to make sure your number is even. You have a whole solid number or a small decimal, because otherwise, if you have some crazy decimal, whatever you've done is probably wrong. Otherwise, they tell you to round that, right? So keep that in mind. I say that in a lot of these videos, but it's really important for you to keep track of. But yeah, that's all I've got today. Anyway, as always, thank you so much for joining me here today, and I hope you have a mathemagical rest of your day. Goodbye, everyone.